Hi there, this is Marie and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about how it is to be a multipotentialite. To be honest with you, I didn't know about this word a few months ago. A video about it just ended up in my YouTube recommendations and I was curious, so I took a look and here we are. So between the first video I watched and now I also read a few books. By the way, if you're a French reader, there's this book that is very good that I just finished a few days ago. Here it is. Donc c'est un livre en français de Sonia Valente sur comment trouver sa place quand on rentre dans aucune case. Le guide des multipotentiels dans le monde du travail. Je recommande à 100%. By the way, if you have any recommendation of books about multipotentiality and things like this, don't hesitate to put it in the comments. So, what is it to be a multipotentialite? It's actually the opposite of what we would call a specialist. And a specialist is someone that is going to focus on one single area of expertise and who is going to become an expert in its own field. Multipotentialites, on the other side, have many different passions or interests. They are going to develop several areas of expertise. They're always going to be curious about things and they won't be able to fit in just one single job, for example. It would be impossible for them to do the same thing their whole life. So we call them multipotentialite because they have several potentials that could be developed. So in this video, I'm going to take my own example to show you how being a multipotentialite can have a big impact on your life, on your studies, on your career path. So if after this video you feel like, wait, this is totally me, I highly encourage you to fill in the form that I'm going to put in the video description so that you can join the Facebook group that I'm going to create for multipotentialites. For example, the multipotentialists will tend to have a way of thinking that is very different from a specialist. A specialist is going to think about a point A, going to a point B, and it's going to be linear. It's going to be straight to the point. For a multipotentialite, there will be an idea A, and then they're going to think about idea B and C, and then D and something else. And so in order to arrive to the point B, it's going to take a lot of other ideas in the middle to reach this point. This is how we basically have so many ideas coming all at the same time and so many things that we're interested in and that we would like to learn more about, and you can structure it. There are ways to structure it. So back to my example. In France we have 3 years of high school, and during the second year you have to choose a kind of path. It may have changed now, but when I was in high school you had to choose between 3 different paths. So there was the scientific one, the economic and social one, and then the one more focused on literature and things like this. There's also this idea that if you go into the scientific path, then it means that you can do just anything in your life, which is not true, obviously. But I chose the economic and social because there were new topics in this one. Economics was the biggest one, and I was very curious about that. I really wanted to understand our world better. And even though I had decent grades in scientific topics, I just hated it. So I had teachers trying to convince me to go into the scientific one so that it would be better for my future. And I even had a mathematics teacher who told me, oh, you're choosing the easiest way, because I was choosing economics and social, when for economics exams you have to write between 4 and 6 pages of argumentation and stuff like that, so I don't think this is the easy way. It may be different in other countries, but in France they make you feel like the choices you make in high school are going to determine your whole life. If you fail, if you don't make the right choice, then you're not going to be able to change after. that's the way they present you with this. But that's not true. That's not true. Reality is not like that. You can always bounce back. You can always find a way to do what you want to do. During my first year, I took the option of Italian as third language. Yeah. I had English, Spanish, and so it was Italian. And I also took classes from a distance. So I took a class of Japanese like this. And then during my third year of high school, I also took the Sciences Po program. So Sciences Po is like the most famous public school in France. It's the shortest version of Sciences Politiques, which means political science. And so it meant attending some lectures there, and the level was very high. And it was very stimulating for me, so I thought, well, maybe that could be a good option after high school. In the end, I didn't take the exam to Sciences Po because I had teachers who had been students there, and they started to tell me, yeah, well, you know, it's stimulating, it's good, and it's still quite strict, so you won't be lost. It's not as free as in university. It's more like high school, but to a higher level. And it just didn't sit well with me because I wanted the freedom. I wanted to do something that I really loved. I didn't want to have just a continuum of high school. So in the end, I applied for a bachelor degree that was applied for in languages, English and Korean. It was the first year that it was opening, so I thought, well, that's a sign. So I got into this bachelor, and once again, at that time, I didn't know I was a multipotentialist, but just with the kind of studies that I've chosen, you can see how I didn't want to choose one single thing where I would become an expert in. Because Applied Foreign Languages was a bachelor that was pretty much mixing basic languages courses. So you had translation and, you know, grammar and improving your level in those languages and stuff like that. And on the other side, you had all the business parts. So at the end of the degree, you were supposed to be trilingual, and you were supposed to be ready to work in like international trade, marketing, communication, these kind of things. During my third year of bachelor, I had the chance to go abroad. I went to South Korea for a year as an exchange student, and this just blew my mind. I felt like this was the kind of environment I was meant for. There were so many nationalities, there were so many courses that we had access to. Everything was so stimulating all the time. It was a new country, new city, new environment. We had so much to learn, and it was just perfect for me. So when I came back to France, it was very difficult. I took the master that was following my bachelor because, well, when it was time to apply, I was in South Korea, and I just thought it would be easier to just continue and complete the master degree that was going with my bachelor degree. And once again, this is something that the educational system made us think that when you were doing a bachelor and there was a following master that was going with it, then you should do both. When in reality, you don't have to. And I did a lot of research during my master one. So I found another master's degree that was much better. And I think at that time, my goal was to recreate the kind of environment I had had in South Korea. So I chose an international program so that there were many nationalities in the program, not just French people. And it was an international management degree. So it meant that the courses were diversified as well. You could have project management, and then marketing, and then human resources. And I really loved this program. I met wonderful people there. I think it was the first time that I really enjoyed group project because we were really working together to complete the project. And then I had my final 6-month internship in Paris, where I was an international recruiter in a company that was specialized in life sciences. And at the beginning, I was very excited. There were a lot of things that I could learn, and it was just nice to be again in an international environment. But then after 3 months, I got bored. And it was interesting to see that among interns, there were lots of interns in this company. French interns tended to be okay, they were enjoying themselves. And on the contrary, in the service where I was, that was a bit more international, I was the only French intern and the other ones were coming from all over the world. And we were more bored. So I don't know if it's a cultural thing or maybe, I don't know, it might be a gender thing. I'm not telling that it's only women who are multipotentialists. I'm just saying that the few that I've met are women. So my fellow interns in the international sections were as bored as I was after a few months. So it made me feel better because all my life I was the only one needing so much stimulation and new things to learn and stuff like that. I was the only one in my family, my friends, I'm the only one like this. So it was nice to have colleagues that were as bored as I was, even though it was not, nice to feel like this. And then near the end of my internship, I got really busy because, well, there was the internship and there was the thesis that I had to write. And I was also looking for a job. And even though it was a very stressful few months, I think that I really enjoyed it to some extent because I was busy all the time. I had things to do all the time. There were so many different things that I had to do that even though I was completely exhausted, I loved it. I just loved the fact that I was this busy. I interviewed with a lot of companies through the last few weeks or months that I was doing my internship. And the only one that I really felt like, well, it could be a right fit was one that was in Amsterdam. Yeah. I think again it was a question of international environment and by extension an environment where I would be stimulated all the time. I'm not saying that it's too plain to work with French people in France, but at a personal level, I'm afraid it's like this for me. And at that time, I was wondering a lot, is this the right thing for me? I was working in international recruitment and I was wondering, is this what I was meant to be? We are taught that someday we're going to find our great passion, the things we were meant to be, and we're going to follow that path and become an expert, like some kind of vocation. And I was still waiting for this because I was passionate about some things, of course, but I could just not imagine myself doing the same thing all my life. And I was wondering, is this just me being weird? Am I being ungrateful? And so I thought, well, you've done 6 months in international recruitment. You're not loving it every day, but it's okay. There are some things that you love about it, and maybe it's enough. So I accepted the offer in Amsterdam because it was a great company, the salary was good. The company was in the World Trade Center in Amsterdam, so my parents were like over the moon. And yeah, I guess I was just trying to fit in the regular, you do your studies, you find a job, you get stability, and you settle. I thought it was how it was supposed to be. I thought at some point I would be happy with it. I hoped I would be happy with it. And so I moved to Amsterdam. It was a 6-month contract that could be renewed. And I also liked that aspect because, well, I knew how I was during my studies. I was moving to another city every 6 months or every year. So I was also worried that I wouldn't be able to really settle. And so I started working in mid-September. And after 1 month, I got bored. Because it was the kind of job that I already did in Paris, my training period was very short, so I quickly felt stuck. From what I've read, Being a multipotentialist means that your values are going to be even more important to you than to other people. It's going to be even harder to go against what you believe in. It took me yet another professional experience to realize that. So in February 2020, I came back to France. I took the first job that was good enough compared to what I thought I wanted at that time, which meant still in recruitment, still in life sciences. And because of the pandemic, it took months for me to really start the job after signing the contract. And even though they sold me the thing as, yeah, we're going to go international, it's going to be good. And yeah, I quickly realized that, wow, this is not what I signed up for. We were in the middle of a pandemic. I was like, come on, people are losing jobs and you're complaining about yours. So instead of stopping right away and telling them this is not the right fit, I don't think it's going to work, I forced myself into this job. I forced myself to fit in what they needed me to be. After 1.5 months, I was having anxiety attacks at work. Their work culture was very toxic. My manager was trying to control my schedule from beginning to end. When I told her, for example, well, this person, I tried to contact her a few times, but she doesn't respond, so she's probably not interested. She would tell me, no, you should try a few other times. Keep trying to contact her, at some point she's going to respond. So they were basically okay with harassing people on the phone, by emails, with any kind of contact that they could have, they were okay with harassing people. And this just didn't sit right with me. I was not working in recruitment to be harassing people on the phone or by email until the point where they would either yell at you or block you. I was not doing this job for that. So in the end, I quitted the job. And I guess this is something that multipotentialists could be confronted to at least once in their life, the kind of company where they feel like they can't breathe anymore. You can't communicate with your manager, with others, because they are stuck in the way that they work until now. And so at some point, you have to do what's best for you. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's okay, you will find another way. But at that time, it took me months to get rid of the guilt that I felt towards this. I was not proud of myself when I quit it. I only knew that this was the best thing I could do for myself. And so after that, I created my own company. And now I'm so much happier than before. I'm not making yet as much money as I used to get when I was an employee. Of course, it takes time, to develop a business, a good offer, to find clients. It's so much to work on and I just love it. I mean, I was thinking about creating my own company since I was in high school. I had this kind of secure bubble of projects saying, yeah, you're going to do this when you will be more experienced, when you'll have more money on the side, when your student loan will be paid back. And so I was thinking I was going to do it when I would be in my 30s, not in my 20s. But then, with the pandemic, I thought, well, maybe this is the right time to try and create your own business. Because I thought, well, it's almost the end of the world, so if you fail, no one cares. Because so many things are falling apart, so if you try to create your company and it doesn't work, who cares? So I did it. And I was so very excited about doing this, and I'm still very excited to do what I'm doing. Because when you're doing everything on your own, you're learning so many new skills. And now I'm even doing YouTube videos. If you had told me 1 year ago that I would be doing YouTube videos, I would have laughed so hard. Because I'm not the kind of person that likes to talk a lot. I'm a good listener, but you can ask my family or my friends. Well, maybe not all of my friends, because I do talk a lot with some of them. I'm an introvert, and that's also why becoming an international recruiter was a good challenge for me. I thought it was a good challenge because then it forced me to be on the phone interviewing people and stuff. But being here on YouTube and talking to you like this is a big improvement for me. It's a big step in my self-development. So I'm pretty happy about the person that I'm becoming right now, because I can finally give a chance to everything I've been interested in doing. I published my first poetry book a month ago, and I'm working on several other writing projects. And then for my company, I started to do some coaching sessions, because when I was a recruiter, I really hated the fact that we didn't have the time to really coach the candidates. We only had time for, a small feedback, but not really in-depth feedback. And at some point, I just realized that I was caring more about the candidates than about our clients. So I thought, well, yeah, maybe you should switch to something that is more people-oriented. And so I started to coach people about their career, about LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn, how to improve your CV, how to prepare for interviews. And on the side, I also started an online course with certification about life coaching practices. But I'm really looking forward to the changes it's provoking in myself, so that I can facilitate this change in others in the future. And apart from that, I'm also a translator, a proofreader, and it feels nice to go back to what I used to do. I started translating things when I was in high school, and in my bachelor degree, well, there were lots of translation courses and everyone was hating it, but I did enjoy it. So it also felt nice to come back to something that I used to do. So to sum up, I'm just so much happier like that. And the fact that now I know that I'm a multipotentialite, it just made me feel so relieved, because I spent my whole life thinking I was different. I enjoyed the fact that I was different, but it was often hard to feel like no one really understood me. So to be honest, when I read the book I told you at the beginning of the video, I just cried at some point, because I thought, this is me. This is what I've been thinking all along, and I was feeling so lonely about this, and to realize that there are so many people around the world who are like that, and I didn't know it. I felt, wow. Wow. Like, I have to meet these people. I have to get in touch with them. So this is why I'm going to create a Facebook group for multipotentialites. You will find all the details in the video description, so don't forget to check it out. So this is it for today. I hope you found it useful. If you didn't know what a multipotentialite is, well, now you know. And if you think you know people among your friends or family that are like this, please share the video with them. And of course, if you like the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also let me know in the comments if you have any question, any remarks. I'm always happy to respond. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!